This is The Offside, and welcome to another episode of the Real Recap, where we cover the latest news and rumors surrounding Real Madrid. But without further ado, let's get started. Endrick just had his presentation declaring him a Real Madrid player officially, and I've seen some reports saying that there was up to 60,000 people at the Santiago Bernabeu to welcome him home. I knew that there was a lot of excitement for Endrick's arrival at Madrid, but to be honest, I did not expect 60,000 people to show up to his presentation. But regardless of my expectations, it was still a really cool moment for him to have, and I'm actually excited to see how he develops playing alongside some of the talented players that we have at this club. But I would also like for all of us fans to keep in mind the simple fact: he is still 18 years old. He is not responsible for Real Madrid's success this season. He is solely responsible for his development. He has to incorporate himself within the team, within the structure, learn the system, learn how to deal with adversity. He has to just develop. He's still young. There's no pressure for him to lead this team to anything this season. We have a lot of talented players on this squad, so he just has to play his part. I'm not saying we have to limit his role. All I'm saying is we have to maybe pull back on some of the expectations that I have seen on him. I think he's a really high potential type player, but it's gonna take some development before we get to the final product. And now one way that he can do that is getting some minutes here early in the preseason. Madrid has officially traveled and they have landed in America. They are here in the United States. They're here for their preseason tour. Real Madrid's first game is scheduled for July 31st, and they'll be taking on AC Milan in a friendly at Soldier Field in Chicago. After that, they're set to take Barcelona on August 3rd at MetLife Stadium in New York. Now, quick backstory on me: I live in the United States, and I am all too well aware of MetLife Stadium's shitty artificial grass. So, of course, they're playing Barcelona in that match on that pitch, but I honestly couldn't give a fuck less if we win or lose that game. I just want all of my players to come out healthy. And to be honest, if I was in charge of that game, not a single first team player would touch that pitch. But now moving on to the third and final game of the preseason tour for Madrid, we're taking on Chelsea on August 6th in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is probably the game that I am most looking forward to be honest, just simply for the simple fact is I got two friends who are big Chelsea fans. Shout out Chelsea Blues News, by the way. I'm just excited to see kind of what kind of shit talk goes on in the group chat, so that's going to be a lot of fun, I think. I actually quite like the preseason. I think it gives us a good opportunity to see some of the players who don't necessarily get a lot of minutes during the season. You get to look at some of the young players and some of the youth squad players that get called up, and I'm just excited to see who kind of makes a little bit of a name for themselves. It's not super important these games, but it gives them a good opportunity to get some eyes on them. Obviously, every time you take the field, there's obviously potential injury risk, and specifically at MetLife with the shitty artificial grass that they have there, that field has basically caused a lot of NFL injuries, and I just do not want them to play there, but it is scheduled. Now let's move on to some new kind of rumors going on within the squad. It looks like Ferland Mendy and Real Madrid have been in talks to renew his contract, and they are really close. I think Fabrizio Romano has reported that it's only minor details that still need to be ironed out, but everything else seems to be completely ready to go. So that could happen at any moment now, and I think it's a great signing for Madrid, specifically because he's one of the best, if not top 3 defensive left backs in the world, and I think he's a solid positional player. So I don't think Madrid as of right now can afford to lose him or have him go somewhere else or make him unhappy. Keep him. He's still not old. He's still really high level performer, and I think he's needed at this club. Now onto the right side of the defense is Dani Carvajal. It looks like Real Madrid has already opened talks to have Dani Carvajal sign an extension on his contract. Now, as of right now, I don't see much being posted about this. I do know that the talks are happening, and I do know that they are not necessarily against each other. They're just trying to figure out what would be the best for both sides, and hopefully it gets done really quickly, because Carvajal, in my opinion, this past season, he should be easily in the Ballon d'Or race. I think that dude is severely underrated, and I think he is and was the best right back in the world in this past season. Now, moving on to some transfer news, more so transfer rumors. It looks like Real Madrid has kind of resumed its interest in Alphonso Davies. But recently, Madrid's new strategy to acquire talent to the club is not financial overpays or big incentive packages. It's more so as a kind of a waiting game, for lack of a better word. They want to have the player be willing to come to Madrid at an advantage position for Madrid, and in turn they will be rewarded accordingly under contract. And to be honest, I actually quite like the strategy, simply because I do feel that at this point in time, Madrid is one of the very few destination level clubs where a player would be willing to wait or just kind of push away more extensions or other offers from other teams, even big teams, to kind of wait it out so they can go to Madrid. Now, I feel like there's only very few clubs that can do it, and at this point in time, Madrid is obviously one of, if not the strongest one in that position. So I think it makes sense to have that as a primary strategy to acquire talent, but it doesn't come without any risks either. Most recently, they tried to implement that strategy with Lenny Yoro. Basically, he had 1 year left on his contract for Lille, and they offered, I think it was between 25 to 30 million for the player. Lille obviously thought it was severely undervalued, but Madrid were not willing to give a better offer. So naturally, Lille looked for other offers that were coming in from other big teams around the world, and it just turned out that Manchester United was willing to kind of close to double the offer for Madrid. At first, it was reported that Lenny was not willing to negotiate, but it feels like there was some type of internal pressure in Lille. Not necessarily force his hand, but he felt pressure to start negotiating, and once he started negotiating, he might have felt that it would have been a good move for his career, because maybe he got a bigger pay package than he was expected or anticipated, and he ultimately decided to go to Manchester United. So in that specific example, I believe Madrid lost out, in my opinion, on one of the highest level potential CBs in the world right now. But that's not saying that the whole strategy itself is useless or it doesn't work. It obviously works, because we got Kylian Mbappe as a free transfer, and obviously we have to incentivize him with a really lucrative pay package once he arrives, but it's still a lot cheaper to do it this way than it would to pay out a massive transfer fee up front. So now, circling back to the Alphonso Davies situation, they're trying to implement that same style of negotiation. Basically, if you finish out your contract, you are a free agent, which means Madrid does not have to pay a transfer fee to a different club, and they can solely focus on the contract negotiations with the player. So from all of the recent reports, it looks like Madrid is still interested in Davies, which also means they are willing to wait until 2025 when his contract expires, and hopefully they can get him for free. This strategy leaves a lot of room for other teams to swoop in and steal the deal, but Madrid are very confident in the fact that they don't necessarily need an Alphonso Davies. They have enough, so they are not desperate to pay or overpay for a player. Me personally, I would love to have Davies here, but we also have Ferland Mendy, and I think Ferland Mendy is equally as good as an Alphonso Davies. We're not lacking in that position. But now, quickly moving on to the most recent transfer news or rumor, would be the Trent Alexander-Arnold situation. He is basically now on Real Madrid's radar as a potential target. And again, they're probably going to use a very similar, if not outright the same strategy in this scenario. Trent's contract, I believe, is also up in 2025, which means they're going to make an initial offer that might seem low to Liverpool, who are probably not going to accept that offer, and then Madrid's going to stop the offers completely and they're just going to wait. If he wants to come, play out his contract, we will give you a contract once you get here, and then we avoid big potential transfer fees to other clubs. They're just unnecessary to Madrid at this point. But that's all I have for now. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And like always, a la Madrid.